Welcome to the podcast. We do recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
Woo! Thank you for listening in to episode 102. Today we're going to be reflecting on the podcast purpose in the past 100 episodes.
Wow.
Did you just want to do the sound thing the whole time?
Yeah. I don't.
Go
I'm just
ahead.
going to make noises. I'm not going to talk at all.
Are they even going to make...
Whoa, hey, look at that.
We
All
got
right.
Sound effects even. That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend,
Whoa.
Dr. Terry Sellers. If you haven't noticed, he's in studio today, so
Yeah. I'm happy to
excited
be here.
rock and roll, baby.
Wait. When did that change?
To what?
You used to call me the man, the myth, the legend.
No, you were like the tech titan or something
No,
like
you
that.
always called me man, myth, and legend.
Did I?
Man.
I was stepping out on you, Sean.
Oh, dude, I canceled one show and you put me at the bottom of your MySpace 8. I swear.
No, listen, you can have man, myth, legend. I'll take Dope Dunson
Dope Dunson Doc.
and Richard 4.
Hey, listen, episode 102 is brought to you by Steps Recovery Centers. Steps Recovery Centers is here to help you or a loved one get help as soon as you're ready to reach out. You can reach out by giving them a call at 801-800-8142 or go directly to their website. Their website is stepsrc.com. They have you covered all the way. They believe in complete care, evidence-based practice. They have you from detox, inpatient, outpatient, aftercare. Go ahead and listen. They've been an original sponsor, Sellers.
Yes, they have for the entire time we've done this podcast.
We really man, we got to send them something for Christmas.
They've been good
a
to us.
fruit basket
No
or
question.
something like.
Well, we'll just show up and they'll have 2 fruits there. How about that?
That works. That works. Our other sponsor, newer sponsor, recent sponsor. Episode 102 is also brought to us by Rise Up Supplements. Rise Up Supplements is a nootropic line. Listen, we all take supplements to go to the gym. Why don't we take supplements like before work or after work? Mind Shift helps you focus. It optimizes brain function. It's definitely going to give you the competitive advantage at work. Mindful Mood is going to help decrease anxiety and enhance mood. So go check them out. Go to riseupsups.com. That's RISEUPS.com. At checkout for the month of November until it finishes, we're doing Podcast 50 to save you 50% off on your purchase. That's crazy, right? Like at that point, we're giving this stuff away.
Yeah.
So go check them out. Great supplements. First time in Sellers' life he's ever done yoga is right now.
I'm trying to pose like the yoga girl on the Rise Up Subs ad. So.
You can't do it because you're not on Mindful Mood.
Oh,
She's
I am
levitating.
I am on Mindful Mood.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, right now.
Very nice.
I took it before I left Provo.
That's why you're feeling so loose and so.
Yeah, that's it.
So
I'm mindful
so
today.
good.
Yeah, I'm good today.
I'm trying to find Yoga Girl back on your website. Where is
Okay.
she? Where is
She
she?
is,
It'll
I'm,
slide.
I'm clicking around.
Go to the homepage and then just wait
Yeah,
a minute.
she's,
It
I'll
slides
have
through.
to wait. Can I search Yoga Girl?
No.
Will anything come up?
Yes.
Wrong search bar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Get out of that. Get out of that website right there.
There might be a little
Sean.
arrow that you can just click. All right.
Here's Yoga Girl right here.
You make a good looking yoga girl,
Yeah,
Sellers.
I actually
Super.
don't. Okay, he's going wide shot.
All right. Well, let's
Sorry, people out there, we're goofing around. Let's get
I
to
love it.
business.
I love it. What's
I
new
love
and good,
goofing
buddy?
around. New and good for me is, you know, I haven't been on the podcast in a few weeks.
I know.
A few weeks ago, I was down in Vegas. Went down there and saw 2 concerts that were spectacular, and played 2 rounds of golf. It was a great weekend. Went with my good friend Mark Pepper, who has signed on with Steps Recovery Center.
Yeah, he's the clinical director in the Murray location.
Yeah,
That's
He loves
fantastic,
it.
man.
He's
What a
happy.
great pickup
He's happy
for-
with those guys.
What a great pickup for us at
Yeah.
Steps.
Good.
So it was fun. You had a good time with
Oh
Mark.
man, I had such a great time.
You know what's funny about that? So I text Ty Hansen, the owner of Steps, and I'm like, hey, I didn't know we picked up Mark Pepper. Like, that's fantastic. When can I take a week and just go, you know, like mirror the guy, just
Hang
like
out with the
learn
dude.
from him?
Yeah.
And he wrote back, yeah, he's fantastic. You should have him on the podcast. And I was like,
Thanks for listening.
you mean again? And he's like, wait, what? And I was like, it's okay. I know secretly you're a Casey Scott fan.
Yeah,
and he
thanks
just
for-
wrote back the
thanks.
laughing emoji.
Thanks for listening.
I don't need him to listen. We just need him to keep sending the checks, buddy.
I don't get any of those checks. Do you? It all goes to Sean.
It goes to Sean.
Thanks, guys.
I'm glad you had a good time. Sean, what's your new and good? Hold on. How
am I holding up?
yeah, literally.
Oh, that's right. Dr. Sellers doesn't know.
What do we got?
I got the old snipperoo last week.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
I sort of did know because I heard it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was going to call in with or text in with hints. I have a hint. I heard some stories on the podcast when you guys talked about it last week, but I had a friend that got the snipperoo and put a bunch of ice on it and wound up in the ER because when he put ice on it,
Put too much ice on it?
yes,
Oh, my gosh.
his boys migrated north and it pulled on the stitches and it hurt like
Whoa.
Hades, he said. So I was going to call in and say, hey, don't do too much ice, dude.
Oh, no. 20
don't
minutes
ice bath.
20 minutes on,
Okay.
30 off.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
It's been a week. I had to go back to the doctor today.
Yeah.
I did. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're swollen. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, another 7 to 10 days. Don't do anything.
Dang it.
So he went into more detail than that. But he's like, oh, yeah, you're swollen. That shouldn't be like, you don't have a fever, do you? Yeah. Just don't do anything for another week. Like, I got like a 12-hour drive next week. Oh. Yeah. Bring some ice.
You're going to be sitting on them for 12 hours.
I have
Ouch.
a legitimate serious question for you,
Oh,
Sean.
you do
Okay.
not. I'm going
From
to turn
one-
it into Goofy.
From one vasectomy man to another now. When you woke up from that vasectomy,
Yeah.
did you feel like your life just didn't quite have the same purpose?
No, I didn't have any.
You know it's instinctual for us males to spread our seed far and wide,
Oh,
right?
my gosh.
And did you just feel like you just didn't quite have the same
What-
purpose?
Do you
in
wash?
life?
Do you wash his chair after he sits in
Wow,
it?
let's ask your
I
wife
hope
who's
so.
standing right here in the corner.
I
Let's
know,
get her
she's-
involved in this
She's
conversation.
getting me dagger eyes.
Wow.
Dagger eyes.
All right, we should probably grow up
Okay. Sorry.
right now.
Can we omit that? Can we just cut that
No,
out?
that's done. It's on the air.
Sean's good at cutting stuff.
Too late.
I hear.
Hey, that's not funny. It still hurts.
Sean's good at getting stuff cut. I don't know if he's good at cutting stuff. Actually, Sean cuts stuff for a living. That's a good point.
Well, listen, to make
Should
it
have done
up,
his own vasectomy.
He
Probably
should've.
would have been better.
should have.
Wouldn't have gotten swollen and infected.
It would have sounded awesome.
Do you have a sound effect for snipping yourself?
Okay, moving on. So,
I'm having fun.
my new and good.
I'm free.
Thanks for asking,
Oh,
Doc.
hey, Jared.
Hey, yeah, I'm part of
Anything
this
new
thing
and
too,
good
you
in
know?
your? I forgot you were on the podcast.
You're fine.
I'm having a good time.
So,
Too
to make
much
it up, my
mindful
wife,
mood.
she's giving me dagger eyes over there.
Okay.
Part of the spreading the seed
Okay.
is on December 6th, she's going to be doing an egg transfer. So we got a baby on the horizon.
Is that anything like an egg toss?
That's my new and good. I think so.
Is that like egging someone's house?
I think so. I think it's something like that.
No,
No.
it's different.
Get up in the morning. There's ovums all over the place.
Yeah, and look, Jared spread his seed.
Hopefully nobody listens to
Okay.
this podcast.
I hope not either.
But this
I hope we
weekend-
can grow up soon.
But this
I didn't.
weekend, we're running a half marathon.
Oh,
We're doing the Snow Canyon half marathon. Now, when I say running, ish, right?
did you notice
It's
the
gonna
look
be-
on my face? Like
Yeah.
sheer
14 miles.
fear, like I'm scared to death of a half marathon.
See, now I'm mad that I got my vasectomy because I'm supposed to be working the Snow Canyon Marathon tomorrow. And I would have been playing music for you and announcing your name as you cross the finish line.
Oh, no, that
Listen,
would've
I'm
been
going to be
cool.
on Mandy's back. She's going to be carrying me across the
Oh,
finish
she's
line.
running.
Wait, does
Because-
this have something to do with the egg transfer?
No.
You have to hold it
completely
between your knees or something.
Unrelated.
He's on her back.
But
I
I'm-
didn't know what was going on there.
I'm pretty sure
Wow.
that
Wow.
next time we do a half
my
marathon,
mind.
I'm just going to keep us on the rails.
Please.
Mandy's probably going to want to do it alone because I'm not a big, like, I'm just a dumb meathead, right? Like, I'm not a big cardio guy.
You're not like a dumb
I'm
meathead.
I
but,
eat protein. I
but
lift
you are
weight.
less of a cardio guy than you
Neanderthal.
are for sure. A
Yeah.
testosterone guy.
So we'll see how that goes. I told her I'm going to be heavy on the walk, but it's fine. It's the experience. We're going to do it together.
When's the egg transfer?
December 6th.
You said that,
Yeah.
and I missed it. Sorry. So it's not this week.
No.
Okay, good.
Looking forward to it though.
Yeah.
Hey, can I get kind of a probie on that one? Egg transfer.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? So you had a vasectomy.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm wondering how this is happening.
Yeah.
This is going to go down. Is the
No,
most-
No, I'm curious. I've never heard the term
Okay,
egg
let's
transfer
let the
before.
doctor
I mean, I've
answer
heard
that.
of in vitro
no.
and stuff. I've
No,
heard
no,
of
no.
reverse vasectomies and stuff.
That's fair.
So when you talk about a egg transfer, what is that?
Go ahead, Doc.
Nope. It's all you. We want to hear this from a layman's point of view.
Okay, so from the common man,
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
They basically, I know how I can do this tastefully. Think of baking a cake.
How about you get your wife on the microphone?
no,
Have her
no.
explain
Yeah.
it. You want to explain it?
Come on, baby.
Get over here.
Get on
Come,
the mic.
come
Get
jump
over
on the
here.
red mic.
Turn on red.
Okay.
Let's do
Turn on
this
red.
in terms of making a cake.
Mandy's in here.
Because the more
No,
he
wait.
talks, the more he's going to dig himself into a hole.
Yeah, let's-
So we need you to
Well,
kind of
doesn't
help out
she
here.
just look
This
fantastic
is-
today?
Well,
Anyways?
she does.
Like,
The shirt's amazing,
Thanks.
first of all, and second of all,
there's your eye candy,
she's
everybody.
just
You're welcome.
gorgeous anyway. So,
That's
um,
nice.
Okay,
but
baby.
let's talk about this. So, in a scientific way,
Yeah.
we're going to grow up right now, right? And
Are you saying that to yourself?
Yes,
Okay.
kind of was. But this is a topic I can talk about scientifically for sure. But tell me what's going on.
Okay, so they took Jared's
Sperm.
ingredients.
Sperm.
Okay,
We can call it sperm.
All
it's
right.
fine. We're grown up.
and then they did an egg
They-
retrieval for me a few weeks ago.
When they take Jared's stuff, is it they don't biopsy your testicles. It's a specimen in a cup,
Go ahead, babe.
right?
yeah,
Right.
he got
Okay.
some vials of his stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely not true.
No, they had
It's not in the cup because
they had to
I've
go in
vasectomy.
surgically. They had to go in surgically because
They made an
everything's snipped.
incision.
No, you're right. It's got to
Wow.
be right.
They
Yeah,
took
okay.
it from
Sorry,
the vast
forgot
deferens.
about the real
This is
problem
the
here.
best conversation I've had all day. Keep going.
Yeah. So they harvested from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a surgery.
Right.
Yep. That was great.
So it's
Wasn't fun.
essentially sort of a biopsy, kind of a testicular biopsy, sort of. They go into the best deference.
Yeah. They went into the closed pool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. Then they went and did an egg retrieval from me. So they stuck a needle and sucked out all my stuff.
So they do that through a vaginal ultrasound probe with a needle on the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
They point the ultrasound at her ovaries, find eggs that are developing, and then
Yeah, that was too
biopsy
much information.
those
Just
with the
Just that they went in
With
and
the
got an egg
needle.
was enough for me.
really.
Yeah, they went in and got an egg. They went in and got some swimmers, and then they're going to take the two and they're going to put them in a dish,
Yeah. they
shake
put
it
'em
up really
together.
good, right?
Sure.
And then they're going to make sure, like, okay, something's growing, right?
Mhm.
And then they go, all right, and then they're going to put it back in you,
Yes.
and then
So-
hopefully
Basically.
everything should.
So let's
connect
get
and
let's-
start
I'm-
growing.
I'm sorry that you're so
What?
non-technical, but let's get a little more technical.
Well, who listens to this podcast? Come on, listen.
They're going to actually fertilize the eggs in a petri dish. or-
exactly. They'll shake it
It's
up.
not shaken up. They're actually going to take a needle and stick it into an egg and inject sperm into
Okay,
that.
Mr. Science.
They're not going to put it in like a cement mixer and roll it around, or
Well,
like
you know, Thanksgiving's next week, and
or-
there's extra turkey
or like a
basters everywhere.
blend tech blender or something.
Remember how they wanted you to tell this?
No, I'm glad we got Mandy over here to talk.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got all talkative.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So basically, they took my eggs, his sperm, put it together. They found the ones that are healthy, and they're gonna do an egg transfer. So they'll put it back in me in a few weeks after I've been on medicine for a little while to basically give me the hormones of like my body thinking it's pregnant. So when they insert the egg or the embryo, then it'll hopefully take and start growing.
Now, is this something where you have multiple, and then you could freeze them for
Yes.
later? For
Yeah.
So this is like a one-time needle thing for you, Jared. Because if you had to go and get that
Hopefully. Yeah.
needle thing repeatedly,
Wouldn't happen.
man, I'm feeling for you right now. But
That
so-
was a great explanation, by the way. Way better than
Thanks.
mine, for sure.
oh yeah.
Yeah, she explained that really well. Do you know how many eggs so they're going to take the fertilized eggs and put them inside of your uterus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many eggs they put inside the uterus?
They're
At
gonna
a
do
time?
one at a time.
Just one?
Yeah.
Because
These
they
guys
used to do
one.
multiples to increase the chances of a pregnancy, but it also increases the chances of multiple pregnancies.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
and
could be the
our-
next Octomom.
No.
Like 8
The
kids
No,
at one
no.
time. Dude, you can have 8 kids. How? Yeah.
Octomom had that
Yeah.
procedure
Luckily-
for sure, and they put way too many eggs in.
Luckily,
Yeah,
our doctor believes
only
in
does
one at a time.
Yeah.
One at a time is
No
interesting.
Octomom.
Because I
There's,
think
I was gonna say
most people
some
do more
centers
than
will
one.
do more than one. Yeah,
Yeah.
bars will just do one.
One doesn't. You're not gonna have twins.
Well, twins
that's
still could
actually
happen.
not true.
Yeah, they
Good
could
point.
still happen.
Yeah, you can have an egg split. Those are identical twins.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, baby.
Thanks for the
Okay,
explanation.
Half an hour.
Thanks for sharing. That was good. I'm sorry. I've never heard that term.
You know
before,
what?
and
That was
I
good.
wanted to dive into that.
That was
so.
that was informative for the audience. Not that that's what our podcast.
We
is
got
about,
35 minutes to get to the meat and potatoes.
Oh yeah, and
Shall we?
don't do drugs. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about egg transplants.
All right, let's
and
shift-
then don't do drugs.
Let's shift gears here. But that's part of recovery, right? Like I would have never thought if I wouldn't have got clean, I wouldn't have met Mandy. I wouldn't have got married. We wouldn't be looking at having a baby. Like it's
Right.
it's all recovery, baby.
Right, it is, and it's part of life, and it's interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, and we all are hoping for the best for everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
that.
hope you guys have a gorgeous kid, because if there's a kid of you two, it's going to be a pretty good looking kid.
Ah, appreciate that.
Right?
Appreciate that.
That kid's going to be solid.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Doc. Let's talk about the podcast purpose.
Okay.
So every single week we come on here, we do an episode. Your voice comes on and says, "We want to show you
What
successful
recovery
can
can
look
like.
like."
Sorry, I blanked on it for just a sec. Yeah.
When we first talked about doing this podcast, that was the goal. And like
Correct.
everything, you have
Correct.
to evolve. You have to change it up. You can't stay, stagnant. And so we've mixed it up. We've added some different things. My question for you is, have we hit the mark?
It's a good question.
Do you feel like we've shown people, given enough examples of what successful recovery can look like?
Well, we've given a lot of examples for sure, and I think that maybe that's one of the take-home messages for me, is that successful recovery can look different for different people. It's a lot of people think that there's one way to do recovery, and it involves 12 steps, and it involves a sponsor, and that's not really what we want to talk about on here anyway. We just want to talk about people that are in recovery, and so there may be one way to do recovery. There may be 1,000 ways. I don't care. There is 1,000 ways to do life in recovery,
Absolutely.
or 1,000,000 ways, or whatever. And yeah, we've talked to a lot of people that have different successful recoveries.
Well said. And I
What-
feel like
What's some examples of successful recoveries? You can go ahead and say what you're going to say first, though.
I was going to say, I think that the way that they do it is that's all going to come out in the wash, right? Like they're going to come on and tell their story of recovery. And so you're
Right.
going to get different paths. You're going to get different options. Like you said, everybody's looks differently.
What's some interesting recovery stories we've had, like that people are doing now? I can tell you one that sticks out in
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
mind was Shan Blake,
Mm.
who's a bodybuilder
Yeah. Does
And-
fitness shows.
and does cakes professionally.
Right.
And she has some really cool cakes. Like,
Gorgeous.
that was
cakes.
kind of cool. That's
Yeah.
kind of a cool thing. She came from basically junkie to having her own cake business and now competing in body shows. That was an interesting one to me.
I can think of like there's different people that started different too, right? Tiffany Nacarado. I
Yeah.
mean, she was basically locked in a room for 3 days. That was her detox. Like,
Right.
which we don't recommend. You can, die
Right.
from benzodiazepines and alcohol if you're
Right.
trying to detox off those. But that was her story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy, right? then
And
you have
where
people
where
that-
is she now? Like, she's working for
USARA.
USARA and spreading the word like nobody. Like, I mean, she is really spreading the message as well as almost anyone I know.
Absolutely. We're going to dive in. Let's take a look at all the different episodes and talk about, and we can bring that up. That's be a good part of that. I want to talk about for just a sec. We've done 100, Doc.
Yeah.
We've shared stories of what successful recovery can look like.
Yeah.
And I believe to some degree that will always be a staple in this podcast.
Yeah.
I have really loved when we started doing, like, I believe it was, I have it right here, episode 10, medication assisted treatment. That was the first discussion of content, of a topic.
Right. That it wasn't the same as what we'd done before, as basically people's stories of recovery.
Right. I've really enjoyed those.
Yeah. Those are fun.
I
Those
mean,
are a
in the
lot of
next
fun.
100, what would you like to see?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that I have the perfect answer to that, but I do always enjoy those because some of those I feel like I'm an expert in, and some of those I have to study a lot for. Like some of the topics we've done, like medical marijuana, we did a little bit, and we we talked about medications, medication-assisted treatment, and we
Medications
talked
to
about
avoid in
medications to
recovery.
avoid. I feel like those kind of things I'm a bit of an expert in,
Mhm.
but I don't know that I'm quite the expert in. We did an episode about fentanyl a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, I learned a lot on that episode.
Fatal fentanyl.
Yeah, I learned a lot on that episode. So
We also brought,
if I learned a lot, I'm assuming people listening have learned some things out of that as well.
and that rolls into kind of answering my own question. Like what I really would like for this podcast to develop into. When we first started this, really, I'd been on other people's podcasts and shared my story. And it got to a point where, for me, being able to be my authentic self and share my story was life-changing for me, right? It was relapse prevention. It was owning my own, being comfortable in my own skin. It was,
Well, look, can we go on that vein? Can we go back to the genesis of the podcast in the first place?
yeah, that's what we're talking for sure.
Like the very beginning of the podcast started when I first met you.
Right.
And you told me your story, and I'm like, you got a great story. You need to tell people that story. That story needs to be shared because it's a really cool story. And you weren't quite doing that very much at that point.
I'll tell you, I struggled. I struggled because when I was with normies and they would be socially drinking or socially doing different stuff, right? In my head, I'm like, I know I can't do that.
Right.
When I'm around, oftentimes when people come on and share their stories, I ask a lot of different people, and some people that still are very heavy in the anonymity thing,
Yeah, sure.
right? And so it's like I had to be a certain person in social settings, but then I was somebody else when I was going to the rooms and the meetings, right? And so
Okay.
I was constantly caught in this world, like I don't know where I fit in
Mm-hmm.
until I met you and I got that advice. Then I could just be myself everywhere, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Once I kind of took off that cloak of anonymity and was
Yeah.
just like, this is me, this is my story. Like I'm just me, you know?
Yeah. So anonymity to me, that brings a good point forward. Anonymity to me is about other people.
Right.
I can say whatever I want about myself. You can't necessarily say whatever you want about me, and I can't say whatever I want about you because you own your own anonymity. You get to tell who you want. I don't get to tell people that you're in recovery. Obviously, we're on a podcast, and a lot of people know, but that's because you choose to come on the podcast, not because I get to talk about your anonymity. So anonymity is sometimes people misinterpret that as, well, I don't want to tell anybody about my stuff. Well, that's not, you don't have to tell people about your stuff. That's totally fine, but that's not really the concept behind anonymity. It's behind you can't reveal other people's stuff.
Yeah.
You can reveal anything you want to about yourself.
Definitely well said. So providing the opportunity where that was life-changing for me, for other people to come on to ours and share theirs, I love that. I also love sitting down with you or other people and talking about content, different topics, different ideas, the theories of addiction. That was
Right.
one with Shalee Webb. I loved that. Like those are the ones that I really enjoy doing. What I would like to see is where we both work in the industry, and I'm going to talk to, my people, Ty and some of the people that work at Steps and get them on. I would also like, I know you work at several different treatment centers too, get people that work in the industry to come on and talk about like, what do we see that's working? What do we see that's not working? Do we need heavy case management for outpatient more? Like where do we see the choke points or when people fall off in this whole recovery process, and how do we dam up those areas, right? Talk about maybe different modalities of treatment, new medications that are coming out, like
Sure.
stuff that's really happening, like real world. Oftentimes I feel like addiction, we live so far in the past. If you think about AA, it was developed in 1930.
Right.
Like let's talk about some now time stuff.
Yeah. Well, the problem is some of the old stuff works, right?
Oh, it does.
Like the steps are still quite fantastic,
But a
and
lot
the
of-
big book is still quite fantastic. But
People
you're
know
right.
that stuff.
In the treatment industry, we have not evolved very much. Like we're just not, and we haven't been spectacular at being research based. Like we're still doing the same stuff we were doing 20 years ago and 50 years ago.
But there's people that are working it every day that sees what worked and what doesn't work.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
it'd be fantastic to get some therapists on, some nurses, some upper management people. I mean, just all across the board and have different topics and different discussions about that.
Right. And look and talk about things like, is equine therapy helpful?
Right. And
Does
why
it
is
help
it?
people and why?
Yeah.
It does. Well, what's some of the data we talked about, Matt? But what's some of the data on Matt? Like, we didn't really get into the data per se. How much different are the outcomes on using Matt versus not using Matt?
Absolutely.
That'd be fun.
And to the listener, if you have ideas, if you have different topics that you want us to talk about, please reach out. Send us a message through Facebook, direct message us. Let us know what you want to hear. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would
We're
love
about out of time.
We are. We're going to jump right back into this. We're going to talk about previous episodes right after this little message from our sponsors.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller, sponsored by Steps Recovery Center and the Hilton Garden Inn.
I'm Desmond Lomax, one of the clinical executives here at Steps Recovery, and once you become with the Steps family, you're just a part of the Steps family. A lot of us have overcome substances, overcome addiction, and now we're able to help other people. Second of all, we're also going to help you in a way where you can afford to be helped. Third of all, we're going to give you the same quality that many organizations are charging 2 to 3 times, and it's more about you than it is about our organization.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Welcome back, everybody. We are on episode 102 of We Do Recover with Jared Miller. And before we get into content again, episode 102 is sponsored by the Hilton Garden Inn. If you happen to be traveling through southern Utah, look up the Hilton Garden Inn and give them a shot at your business. And the reason is they're spectacular. I'm staying there tonight. It'll be nice.
Always clean.
Yeah.
Always friendly.
Yeah. The pool's fantastic.
Right
the
off
hot
of
tub's great.
I-15.
Yeah. And the staff is just fantastic. Like, they take really good care of us and our guests. We have our guests stay there sometimes, and they have
That was the
done
whole
a-
reason for having them as the sponsors, right?
sure,
So
right.
guests that travel have a place to stay.
Yep. They give us rooms for next to nothing, and we let our guests sometimes take advantage of that, and they're really good to them. So
I feel like sometimes we just kind of bulldoze through these sponsorship mentions, which we appreciate them, right? But
Sure.
Today I just want to say, like, Hilton Garden Inn, Steps Recovery Centers, thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
we
good
couldn't
point.
have done this for 102 episodes if we didn't have somebody paying for the production, and if we didn't have a place for guests to stay, and
Yeah.
you when you come down
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah, it's a good point. For the studio, for the people that are listening, we don't make any money at this podcast.
Nope.
We would consider making money if we could figure it out, but it's not what we're doing, and it's not what we're doing it for. But the podcast costs money. Like, we have guests that stay in places, and we have studio time, which costs money, and the podcast costs money, and we're not making any money. So we're grateful to the sponsors, which allow us studio time for free because they pay for it, and our hotel that puts up our guests for really, really, really cheap, and it's just we love it. So yeah, we're grateful for the opportunity.
I would say, actually, we come out of our pockets for this thing.
Yeah, we do.
Because Hilton, they don't give us free rooms,
It's
give us
not free.
discounted rooms.
Right.
And so my business card covers the rest of the room, right? And for you usually take a guest out to dinner if they come on.
Yep.
That comes out of your pocket.
Yep.
Listen, I get so many emails from Patreon. This podcast will always be free content. Maybe we do something with Patreon one day where we do exclusive stuff. But
I didn't know that. Did Patreon want us to put?
they send stuff. Go
Buy our
ahead, Sean.
podcast, or
They send stuff out to everybody, right? Because they make a percentage of what you make, and so they want to get as many podcasts on there if people are willing to pay. I don't like that, though. Like, I like that this is free content. You know, one of the coolest things
For sure.
that happens to me at my job, it's happened a couple times, is people from out of state. This has actually happened to three different clients. I'll walk into residential and they'll go, "It's you," and I'm like, "Oh, did I do something wrong?" You know?
yeah.
They're like, "You're the guy. I saw you. I listened to your podcast." Like, that's so cool.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
cool.
like we're giving hope to people that are in the subways of their life looking for a way out. And so I like that it's free content personally. We'll figure out ways.
Yeah. So that, to me, that's the goal of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Now we have ways to accomplish that goal, and the way we've decided, for the most part, in our past 100 episodes, has been telling stories of people who have been successful in recovery. But the real bottom line of the podcast is to show to people that there is hope, that you can overcome addiction, and when you do, you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever or whatever it is you want to be.
We've had some people with amazing stories.
Yeah, we have.
I mean,
For sure.
Yeah, we're going to jump into some of those here in a little bit.
You know,
In the spirit of reflecting,
yeah.
the day that we did episode 001,
Yeah.
where you came on, you shared your story, that's really when this thing actually got started, right? We did a little pilot one where me and Sean don't talk about it anymore because it was so awkward. but basically, that is what gave it life, is episode 1.
Okay.
Since then, if I would have told you on that day that we were going to have downloads, our top 10 states for downloads, I mean, we have like almost 1,500 downloads. Sorry, 15,000 downloads.
Okay.
Top 10 states.
Yeah.
And thank you guys. Listen, for those listeners out there that are in these states, keep spreading the word.
Yeah,
Keep telling
thanks.
your friends about the podcast. Like, we genuinely appreciate it. The first ranked one with the most downloads is Utah.
Well, sir, here we are.
Me and you live in Utah.
We're from
Here
Utah.
we are, baby.
Our guests are mostly from Utah.
The next one, California,
Okay.
Nevada,
Okay.
Arizona. Of course, they're all right around Utah.
We're all,
it's
yep,
spreading
they're
though,
all
right?
close. Right.
So after Arizona is Colorado.
Okay.
Then we get a
still
little
close.
further. Texas,
Okay.
New York,
Whoa.
Michigan,
Whoa.
Pennsylvania, and Washington.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right? I can click
Yeah.
on this little thing right here.
What, you got analytics.
Analytics, baby. Overview. Change it to last 24 months. Watch how fun this is. So it shows right here our top 5 countries.
Oh.
Is the United States in first place.
Oh, that's shocking.
Canada is in second place.
Okay.
France is in third.
Wow.
United Kingdom's 4.
Wow.
And Australia's 5.
That is shocking to me that someone in Australia has even heard the podcast.
How are people
Right?
in France? Do a lot
The
of people?
Australia might be one download for all I know, but
It's not. There's. Yeah.
really,
Oh yeah.
it's amazing that someone in Australia has actually heard the podcast.
Boom. Look at this.
Yeah, I
Again,
can see the state thing. That's cool.
there's only 2 states: South Dakota and Nebraska. What is
the only
going
2
on?
states that
South
nobody's
Dakota and
listened to?
Nebraska. Yeah.
Well,
We
there's
have
nobody-
downloads in every other state except for South Dakota.
Well, I'm
and
going to
Nebraska.
insult both states now.
All right, so I'm going to drive to both South Dakota and Nebraska, make sure my phone is geocache located, whatever, and I'm
Yes.
going to download stuff.
Yes. Thank
Boom.
you.
So then you can say
You'll
all
make
50.
us feel better.
All 50 states, baby.
That's awesome. I'm going to insult South Dakota and Nebraska right now just because they don't download us.
Again.
What's in
thank
South?
you to our
What's
listeners.
in South Dakota? Like 4 stone guys?
Apparently, they're just not big recovery people.
There's a
in
corn
South
museum.
Dakota and Nebraska.
There's a what
The
museum?
corn museum. It's a whole museum. It's a
Corn
museum made
museum.
out of corn. Yeah.
No wonder no one downloads our stuff. They're too busy analyzing corn.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Good reason. Good cause.
Did you say corn with a P?
You know,
In all seriousness, I genuinely want to say, I'm going to try to do this without getting emotional. Like, it blows me away.
Yeah.
Just, I have so much gratitude. At one point in time, man, I was homeless.
Yeah.
Like, to sit here today, 8 years later, be married, trying to have a kid, be friends with guys like you, Dr. Sellers, from what I hoped 10 people would listen.
Yeah, sure.
We have over 15,000 downloads.
Yeah.
We're in every single state except for 2.
Yeah.
Like, my heart's just so full. I could have never imagined it. And listen, we're not probably the biggest podcast out there. We're no Joe Rogan,
We're not in the top 10 million, but
but it's
we are
amazing.
So the gratitude comes from from where we've been, but B, we this is fun. I have fun doing this. This is not people say, "Oh, are you getting tired of it?" No, not really.
Yeah.
I'm not getting tired of it. I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. And it's a little, you do almost all of the legwork on the podcast and all of the bones and all of the details, and I don't do much. I drive down though, and it's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
3.5 hour drive. I don't want to exaggerate, but it's a 3.5 hour drive, and I just don't begrudge it at all. Like I'm coming down now a lot of weekends and not doing anything but the podcast. But it's still fun.
Yeah.
I like
I
it.
love
So the gratitude comes from thank you to those who listen and allow us to continue because I like it. I'm having fun.
There's
I'm
only-
learning some things. I'm meeting some people. I'm hearing some great stories.
So I got to tell you, when I first talked to Steps about doing the podcast, right, and I was saying like I want to get a co-host to do it with, I got to give a shout out to Kevin Thacker because Kevin Thacker was like, I know this doctor, and he's been in the industry for years. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He's a little controversial on social media.
Yes, he is.
But he would be a fantastic. And I'm like, you're talking about Terry Sellers. He's like, you know the guy? And I'm like, do I know him? Right? Know him really well.
Yeah, well,
So
nobody knows me, but I love it.
yeah, it's been fun, buddy.
Yeah.
And-
No, I know a lot of people in the industry for sure because I've been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate all the people that have shown support and that have been there, and that all the people I've worked with and people that have come on. It's been fun.
All right, you ready to jump into some of these episodes?
Yeah. You want me to? I can name one. I can name one we want to.
I thought we'd just start at the oldest and work our way up. We got 15 minutes. So there's you. So here are the ones
Okay.
that jump out at me.
Yep.
There's you, episode 1. If you
Okay.
haven't heard Dr. Sellers' story, you got to go back and you got to hear it, episode 1. We got our first full 50 minutes because remember, they used to just be 30.
Yeah.
Our first full 50 minutes was
My
episode-
story 30 minutes?
Yeah, it was super short.
Wow.
I had to make sure that you guys had something more to talk about. You know, you had to earn that 50 minutes.
So episode 3, it starts on the full 50 minute. That's when we're really up and running.
I want to tell my story again then if I got gypped.
Coach Blue Robinson,
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
addict to athlete.
Right.
He started addict to athlete. I love him. I actually listen. He's one of the only other podcasts that I listen to. Not a big fan of Project Recovery. I don't like hearing one person talk about himself the entire time. Anyways, did I say that? We won't go there. I love addict to athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got
And
great guests
good,
on.
He's a good guy.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I mean, love the guy.
Yeah.
The next one
That was
jumps,
fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed meeting him. I had not met him before, so that was
Oh, you
a lot
hadn't?
of fun. No.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Way cool.
Yeah.
All right, the next one that jumps out at me is episode 4. I know, like this is gonna take forever.
That's all right.
The overdose story of Adam Green.
Yeah.
Did you know to this day, it has the most downloads?
Oh, that's interesting.
It blew up.
Yeah.
Remember, Mr. and Mrs. Green came on and they shared. I mean, I was crying.
Mm-hmm.
You were
That
crying.
was
They were
tough.
crying.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was a
That's
monumental
a tearjerker.
episode right there.
Yeah, that was as emotional an episode as I can remember. There's some others that were really close to that, but that was a tough one.
Yeah, having his mom on here,
Yeah.
just pouring her heart out and sharing
Yeah.
her experience.
Wow.
And I haven't ever had somebody willing who's lost a loved one to come on since.
Well, let me
See what
correct
can
you.
do? Oh,
Susan Peterson.
oh, yeah.
Now,
Dang.
a lot of what we talked about with Susan Peterson was her foundation.
Yeah, the Sobriety
But,
Foundation.
She started that because she lost a son.
That's
And
right.
So we'll talk about that maybe when we get to it. But there definitely has.
The very next episode, episode 5, Tyler Hansen.
Oh yeah,
I loved Tyler Hansen's story because I could connect with it.
yeah,
He talked about losing his mom. He talked about losing his brother, the death
Yeah.
of his mom and his brother.
yeah.
I mean, I lost my dad, lost my brother,
Mhm.
you know? So I feel like our story's really, it's called A Brother's Bond with Tyler Hansen. That was a
Mhm.
really good one. I felt like I could connect because it was almost like he was sharing my story sitting
Yeah.
across from me, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Commonalities, universalism.
Yep.
All right, the next one that really jumped out at me would be, oh boy, episode 8, Football, Drugs, and Redemption with Taz Decker.
Taz Decker. Never heard of that guy before.
Right. Sure,
That's
you
one of the
haven't.
good guys, right?
That was a good one.
Yeah,
Taz
he's a-
was a good guy.
He's a good guy. Taz
Funny
is he is funny. He's humble,
Yes, very humble guy.
and he is a little on the quiet side, to be honest. Like, I don't know that that's always the case, but I think on the
Yeah.
podcast he's
A little bit more reserved.
a little more reserved than
Yeah.
us goofballs, right?
Oh yeah, he's definitely not loud and obnoxious like
Right,
us for
right.
sure.
But man, that was a good story.
Definitely was.
And really interesting to see what, the different things that people can lose and give up to addiction.
Yeah, he had a full ride to University of Utah.
Yeah.
When we're talking the best football state in Utah, University of Utah.
I got nothing.
All right, let's
I
jump
would
to
have
episode
argued
10.
with you last year, but I'm not arguing this year.
Episode 10, medication-assisted treatment. This is really cool for me because looking back, this is the first time, like we talked about before, where we had a topic,
What's the first topic one?
first topic-based
Yep.
episode, which was fun.
Yeah, I like that. And I have some opinions on medication-assisted treatment that might be different than a lot of sort of the powers that be in my field. For example, I'm not a fan of sort of universally putting every opiate addict on Suboxone from the first treatment episode until for the rest of their lives. And some people actually are advocates of that, and they have reasons, and their reasons aren't necessarily wrong. They're probably even right, but I think that I have different opinions on some of that stuff. So I enjoyed that episode because I get to air some of my opinions. And
That's what I
go
like
from
about
there.
a collaboration of care, right? Is that's your department. I try to keep my opinions out of it. Like that, because a lot of time clinicians have a very strong opinion on Suboxone and Subutex, pro or con.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. I treat my clients the same no matter what they take.
Sure.
That's up to the doctor.
Sure.
Right? That's the collaboration of care.
I
I
think
didn't
that's
go to doctor school.
I think that's a
didn't go to
good way to
medical
do it. Although I think that in my job, I like listening to opinions from clinicians. Yeah, they don't get to prescribe medications. That's what I do. But the clinicians a lot of times know the patient's stuff, their personalities, their background, their history. They're way better than I do.
Right.
So, yeah, I like the collaboration too.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll give you a strong opinion, but I'm also going to listen to other people's points of view.
I love it. Go listen to that episode,
hope.
episode 10. Okay, the first couples one was episode 11, The Journey
yeah.
of Tyson and Crystal Hanig. Tyson Hanig could be one of the funniest
Funny dude,
dudes
right?
I've ever, like,
Holy mackerel, that guy's full of energy.
listen, if I ever fire you, I'm calling Tyson
for
the
sure.
very next day
For sure, I
because
don't
that
blame
dude's
you.
hilarious.
Yeah, you should fire me and take him. That guy's funny, and he's that for a guy that's sober. That guy looks like he's on meth full time, right? And I don't mean to make a joke about being on meth, but that guy's a high energy guy.
He's
for
a
sure.
high energy guy.
Right.
He's a quick witted guy.
Yeah,
He's very
very funny.
punctual.
Yep.
Like, yeah, he cracks me up. Shout out to the
Yeah,
Hanigs.
that
Love
was
those
funny.
guys.
And his wife was lovely just to put up with him.
I think his wife's
He's a
a
lot.
therapist, and she maybe became a therapist to figure out how to deal with Tyson.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Sure.
going to get in such trouble because they literally live in my community.
Yeah, there you go.
They know I love them.
Yeah.
Good people.
It was a
Man. That
good
was
episode.
fun.
Yeah, that was a fun episode.
We had a TEDx speaker, Stacy Burnell, which was pretty cool.
Stacy Burnell is an amazing human being.
Yep.
I like Stacy, and she's doing some really cool things in her community.
She really is up there in
Yeah.
Ogden with the autism stuff.
Yeah,
And
she got an autism thing. She ran for school board, I think. I can't remember what she ran for, and I don't remember if she even won. But she's now working with, I think, the Utah Jazz
really,
on a diversity thing.
that's way cool.
So it's
That
pretty
sounds like
cool.
her. It's up her alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So another episode.
I don't know if you know this, but Stacy's mom is a labor and delivery nurse that I used to work with.
I did not
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I know Stacy's mom pretty well.
Okay, episode 14, John Red blew up the downloads.
John Radzik.
It didn't have quite as many as Mr. and Mrs. Green, the story of the overdose,
Yeah.
but by far, like just on stories alone from guests, the highest.
Yeah.
His went through the roof, man.
So if you think of
very spiritual guy.
Yeah,
Spiritual giant.
one of the concepts I think of recovery is one of the great concepts that keeps people sober is service to others. And when you think of service to others, I think of John Red.
Well said.
Like that's a guy that does a lot of service for other people, and he's always available and always willing.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah,
There's no way we're making.
he's
it
not
through this
always
list in
available to
7
play golf
minutes.
with me, but he's always available to
Boom.
help people.
Passive aggressive.
Yep.
Take that,
was just,
John
That
Red.
was just plain aggressive.
Okay. All right. There's no way we're gonna. Since we went so deep into the
No, it's
egg
fine.
transplant, we haven't got a lot of time for this.
We don't
but
have to do every episode.
And we're
We'll
going
pick out
over some
highlights.
old ones, right?
Yeah.
So Happy Valley with Ron Williams.
No, that's
he
a
created the film
interesting
Happy
guy.
Valley.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen that movie, that's a really good movie to
The thing
watch. I
that-
think.
When I think back on that episode, though, it was almost like he didn't want to talk about the movie. If you remember, he went off for 25 minutes, the whole second half, on just like theory. I mean, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
but it was super philosophical stuff.
Right.
I wanted to get to the nut and bolts. You remember, I had like 3 pages of notes, and he kind of was just like, meh, I don't want to talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about this super high.
He's a thinker.
Yeah, he's a thinker.
He's got too much in his brain.
Yeah. All right. As we cruise through this, Jody Clark, from crystal meth to crystal ball with Jody Clark. I just love Jody Clark.
Yeah.
She was a good human. You
She
worked with
is.
her at
She's-
Lionsgate,
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And she is a good person, really good person. Someone you can admire.
What episode number was that? Let's see. So we already talked about Theories of Addiction with Shlee Webb. That was episode 17. It was 19. 19 from crystal meth to crystal ball.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, let's keep this train rolling. Okay, here we go. Episode 21. I suck at dying, but great at living,
Yes.
with Tiffany Nacarado.
Yes.
She had
That's-
one of the coolest spiritual stories I may have ever heard.
You remember where the title came from?
Yes, because she literally said that. That's like a quote.
No, I think I said it.
Oh,
She was talking about like
yeah,
trying to
think you
commit
said that.
suicide and it didn't work, and then she tried again or something, and I said, "You suck at dying."
Yeah.
And so that's how we came up with the.
Luckily, she was a good sport about it.
Yeah,
All right.
it's not that funny of a joke, but we laughed.
Episode 23, Life's Worth Living, with John Gossett. He does great
Yes,
work for
yes.
suicide prevention. Actually, the guest that we had on for 101, Braden Dobson,
Right.
I actually did an intervention through his foundation to get Braden into treatment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting little connection.
No
there.
ethical thing. He didn't come to Steps. He went to a different treatment center, but
Right.
yeah, that was super cool. So he does really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Found him walking the streets. That
Awesome.
was a cool experience. We got to talk about Randy Palmer, The Power of Family with Randy
Wait,
Palmer.
I'm gonna. I
Episode
gotta.
24.
I gotta mention my episode 22 real quick.
Okay.
My good friend Dave Cox came on.
Wait, no, hold on.
Episode 18. Sorry, I said 22. It's number 22, but episode 18.
Got you.
Dave Cox. He came on.
Yeah.
He was a little shy about his
Man.
story. He's not a. The interesting thing is he's a loud dude for sure. But-
Outside of a microphone.
Yeah, but he's not a
Yeah.
big fan of the microphone, I think. But
You know what I
he
love
was
though?
fun.
I love watching some of these guest sents, and like it's cool to see what he does with his knives, and he's always giving likes to our page, and just what a good dude.
Yeah,
He's a good dude.
yeah, he is.
All right, Mark Pepper, we talked about him.
Wait,
episode
remember
25.
Rob Kelly?
Oh yeah.
That guy was fun. Come on, that guy was fun. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I had fun with him. Okay. Mark Pepper, good friend of mine.
It was a video one. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I see
okay,
that guy
so
on social media, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
it for sure
Post about
was
something other than yourself, please.
So that's something we've learned is we used to have Skype in guests, and I used to Skype in sometimes when I
Yeah.
wasn't in studio,
It's rough.
and it just wasn't great. Like there's a delay a little bit, and it just Skype didn't work out very well for us, so we abandoned that.
Yeah.
That's something we've abandoned. But
Yeah, that was something that we learned really well.
yeah,
All right. Where are you at? I'm at Mark Pepper at 25.
yeah, Mark Pepper's my best friend, so
Yep. Get involved. Like it.
yeah, he's a good guy.
Tia Bithell, man, that's a funny one, right? Because she's such a bubbly person, almost like Dave Cox in like the
Right.
real world, super bubbly person. I mean, great laugh, very outgoing. You get her in front of a microphone, whew, radio silence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Where do we want to cruise to next?
Well,
Hunt's.
I want to talk. I want to just. I mentioned briefly Susan Peterson, but we've had a couple of guests on that talked about sober living homes. Susan Peterson's foundation, the Sobriety Foundation, sponsors sober living scholarships for people coming out of treatment, and they pay for 2 months of sober living. It's a great foundation. And then remember, we had our guests on Georgia and from Minnesota.
Yes, they
Like-
came all the way from
Yes.
Minnesota. That was cool.
They
But
own a
Susan
few sober
Peterson, you got to
living
say what
homes.
episode number, Seller, so
I
people
do?
can go
Why?
find it.
Why, they'll find it. Look up Susan Peterson.
You-
It's going to be episode number, some number. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
she does a great job with her.
I actually
to the
just saw
foundation.
the episode, and now I can't find it. But I'll mention it in a second. Bernard and Georgia Jones were episode number 36, and they were the guests from Minnesota who own
Susan
Sober
Peterson, number
Living.
34.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. That's, yep. A Mother's Pain to Passion with Susan Peterson. Yep.
That was a good one.
Yeah, we had a topic one. Depression and anxiety. That was kind of fun.
There was another mother's one that was, what one was it?
I don't know. We've only got a few more minutes. You want to? We got a minute and a half left is all.
Terry hits 19-ish years clean. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Episode 76.
I'm still clean.
It's just funny that you thought that it was 20 at first, and then you get here that day after we promoted it as 20, and you're
Yeah,
like,
it was 19.
it's just 19.
Yep.
But hey, I appreciate the honesty.
Yep.
Okay, episode 64, The Freedom of Forgiveness with Wendy Sackman. That was a very powerful one. She talked about how her son was killed over a drug deal gone bad.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about,
yes.
we've had some good episodes, Doc.
Yeah, we have. We've had some really cool episodes. We've had a lot of great guests. We've learned a lot.
We've had some silly fun.
We've had a lot of fun.
Probably talked about things that were inappropriate, like egg transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Remember
I
we
never know
had a-
where it's going to go with you, Doc.
We
Like
had a guest come on that had been on the show Intervention, the A&E show
Yes.
Intervention. Remember that? That
Yep.
was fun. So, yeah, we're down to 20 seconds left.
we've had some really great guests.
We've had fun. We've learned a lot, and we appreciate everybody that's listened. And I'm glad we get to keep doing this. I love it. I really do.
I really genuinely, last thing here, please send us some topics. Let us know what you would like to hear. This is the People's Podcast. I don't come on here to talk about me. I come on here to talk about what you guys want to hear about.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to hear suggestions. So go to our Facebook page and make us some suggestions.
Thank you
Love you,
for
buddy.
joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. This has been a production from A Podcast Studio.